Hello, everyone. So first of all, good afternoon. Hopefully everyone's just having their third or second cup of coffee. So I'm Noor Langwidi, Senior Instructor at Digital Design, and I'm really excited to be having this conversation with our guest today. But just to start first, as a representative of VFS, I'd like to acknowledge that we're situated on the unceded traditional and ancestral territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. I'd also like to acknowledge that everyone is joining us today from many places, near and far, and would like to acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands. With that in mind, I'd love to know where everyone is joining from. So please feel free to message and just let us know also which program you might be starting and joining us from. We'll also be having all the questions in our chat, so feel free to ask your questions for our guest today, and we'll read those at the end of the section today. Yes, so we're all here as curious VR and AR enthusiasts, exploring what doors this exciting technology opens for us. And I can't imagine someone better to have this conversation with than our guest today, Sarah Ennis. Thank you so much. Sarah's illustrious work has shown her innovations in just bringing a combination of technologies to business ideas and challenges and key opportunities that are open. She is the Global Director of Innovation and Strategic Partnerships at Intergalactic Agency, as well as the Chapter President and the Co-Chair of the Global Retail Committee at VRARA. With these leadership and strategic roles, Sarah sits at the forefront of changes made for VR and AR industries globally. So please give me a warm welcome for Sarah Ennis.
Thank you so much.
It's really wonderful to have you. And it's also just, it would be great to hear how you moved from studying biotechnology to get into VR and AR and these strategic points.
It was absolutely, I think, a journey of self-awareness for me. So truth to be told, I started the program in biotechnology because I was studying a doctor in dental surgery program in Dubai. And when I arrived in Canada over 2 decades ago, that was the most relevant or exciting course that I could take because I felt like I had a passion for innovation. And I saw some of the research in the biotech space as very innovative at the time. But after time went by, I felt like biotechnology took some of the health problems that are trying to be solved, and I was more interested in problems that businesses are trying to solve. So I actually started doing an MBA part-time as I was doing some consulting in the industry. I started doing consulting in the healthcare, then eventually started doing consulting for tech, and eventually got my hands on some of the more innovative projects where my passion was. And a few years back, after having that solid consulting background, I had the opportunity to join a company that's now called Unity Technology. And I was in the same capacity that I'm at Intergalactic now there, and it was called Director of Innovation and Strategic Partnerships, where I work with Kroger, Lululemon, Pfizer, Stryger, and really got to help these companies uncover some of these business challenges that they have or opportunities that they're trying to kind of explore and to stay relevant, most importantly. So it was a very interesting transition for me because I used some of those consulting brain or analytical tools. And then I kind of started learning so much and became so immersed with some of these advanced tech, such as AR, VR. We did a lot of IoT, robotics interfaces, and I just learned how to use those technologies to solve business problems rather than just strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the years, I guess I worked on so many different projects that VRA Association decided that it was appropriate to ask me to join to be the chapter president for Vancouver and the retail committee co-chair, where I can tell you a little bit more about that. But originally, I became familiar with them in an effort to expand my network. And now I kind of help people expand their network. And so I do similar work as well with Intergalactic, where I help this business, various businesses, including Microsoft, etc., to kind of explore different opportunities when it comes to AR/VR.
Mm-hmm. And how did you find that initial like jump into the VR and AR world? Like, how did you get your hands on VR?
Yeah,
Just understand that medium.
yeah. Um, on a personal level, I did what's called a Gallup Strength Finder, and top 5 strengths came as futuristic number 1. So I was like, I need to be in a role that's innovation. So I started connecting with people in the innovation space. And when I did, I think, connect with them, I think what really helped is that I had really strong consulting background. People who go into the consulting industry, normally they've had to kind of be immersed in something they don't know nothing about and become expert in a very short period of time, and then go and talk to subject matter experts about it. So I think it was a natural transition. I think the person who was hiring me realized, okay, she can pick this up even if she hasn't done too much of it. And then and she has those skills of consulting skills to tell the client, hey, like this is what you do to stay relevant, or what others are doing, or kind of walk them through their train of thought.
Mm-hmm. That's an amazing level of curiosity to have. Um, so your philosophy of the art of possible from VR and AR, can you tell us more about how, like, why VR and AR?
Yeah, it's funny because I think there's a book about the art of possible, which I have not read, but I somehow coined this term only because in the last few years, I've been given no products, but only ideas to kind of sell to these various Fortune 500 companies and talk to them about what can be done. And that's why I call it the art of the possible, because I've been working cross industry, and it's interesting to see some of the issues that, let's say, a pharmaceutical is trying to address. Let's say they want to kind of have better customer engagement or employee engagement. It's very similar to issues that retailers are trying to um, kind of stay ahead of. So I would then talk about the art of possible and tell them what others are doing, because if the problems, I guess, they're very similar, it's just the solutions that differ and become a little bit more specialized from industry to industry. That's why I call it the art of possible. And because honestly, there's no one solution that may help. Like, I mean, as a lot of the students who are attending this college will know, you have to design it for the customer and hand. The avenues you can go are vast. So you have to explore the art of the possible to see what's the best that suits these customers.
What about the medium of VR and AR, like as a platform, do you see like lends itself in projects?
Yeah, the medium, that's a good point. And I feel like a lot of folks, they try and they like the newest, shiniest platform that shows up. Let's say like Apple Vision Pro comes in, then everybody tries to design something Apple Vision Pro. And where when NFTs were hot, everybody was like trying to go on Roblox and launch something. And I think as a lot of these people are yeah, it's not somebody here speaking in my background. Sorry, I just saw the comments. Nobody's speaking in my background.
I think that's me. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Um, so in terms of the medium, when NFTs, for example, were hype and everybody was excited about them, there was a lot of brands trying to go and figure out a medium to launch an NFT. Or when Apple Vision Pro came in, we had a lot of clients coming to me like, what can I deliver, what can I design on Apple Vision Pro? And I truly believe in putting my consulting hat on and thinking, or even the design hat on, and thinking about the customer journey and where you need to meet the customer. So if you're, for example, I'll give you a tangible example. We worked with like a really well-known casino. It was a NASDAQ listed client, and they wanted to explore the NFT ways. And if we were to just, launch NFTs on some random NFT marketplace, it would have not been the right medium or the platform to reach the customers that come to their casinos. So we launched it and made it accessible on the casino slot plays, because that's where you meet the customer. That's where they're trying to, tap their customer loyalty card and going to the next stage. So really is about where, or for example, if you're going into, for example, Microsoft Minecraft, they wanted to launch an application for children to boost sales for Minecraft products. And so we knew all children this age, they have access to either their phone or their parents' phone. So the experience we launched was a web AR experience where they would enter a store and either pull up their phone or borrow mom's phone and kind of scan the QR code and go into a Minecraft village and start hunting, do a treasure hunt and get discounts. And at the end, it really actually did end up boosting. The SKU product sales were 250%. And I think it's because we picked the right medium. If we had maybe a station where a child would come and play, only would be one child playing. Or if it was, you have to think about the journey, right? So that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. My nephew's one of those children. Minecraft. Honestly. So it makes me also think about upcoming technology, right? We've got AI becoming this huge force for a lot of established industries already. And like there's so many questions around that. It's VR and AR being a less established industry that's still really growing. How do you see these like huge digital forces interacting?
I think it's huge, especially for artists. I think sadly, some of the more traditional manual work may become a little bit obsolete. So if you plan to be an artist or work in VFX, I think you definitely need to start learning about all the latest tools, because those are the ones that leverage AI. So for example, Weta, the biggest in VFX, just launched in August. I think they announced some of their artist suits of tools. And if you look closely in it, a lot of them use a lot of the AI tools, which means artists will still can use a lot of the traditional methods. But if you want to be a top producing artist or designer, you kind of have to learn these tools faster. I think AI would be an accelerator, just making things a little bit faster and sooner. So I can give you examples. Our designers use Midjourney as an idea inspiration for some of the design work that they want to do. And I think it doesn't matter what career you're planning to pursue. If you want to be only a designer, artist, even myself, I have a Midjourney account. You have to kind of get on top and be on top of these tools, because you do that or else you become irrelevant. I know it sounds really scary, but it's true. You have to always stay up to date, because they're really revolving really fast, and it's kind of like technology. It's I think the essence of technology. It always is evolving and changing fast, and this is basically just another element of it. AI is just changing super fast, as opposed to regular speed. So at least in our company, we always look to really leverage that. We use ChatGPT a lot of content creation, for example, in the marketing side of things. So as I said, I think it's an enabler rather than a completely replacer. And a lot of the AR side of things is, again, used to create those assets before you would make them into 3D content and AR. You could just kind of get inspiration. And sometimes you could use the asset. A lot of times you may need some CG work on what was created by AI. So there's still, again, manual work there, but just makes everything faster. So I think for anyone who's a student, they should definitely tap into AI and the practical AI tools.
And it just brings back that like curiosity that you were talking about earlier too. Always just getting your hands dirty into whatever's new and exciting and consultancy brain.
Thank you. Yeah, but I think if you really have a passion for innovation, I think you have to keep it breezed. all the latest and greatest, or else you become irrelevant. I always make this example of Blockbuster when Netflix came out. The CEO of Blockbuster used to laugh at Netflix and refuse to think about the new ways of doing things, and they're no longer in business. All the stores shut down. So it's all about that. It's about, if you want to stay relevant, you have to always keep your hands in it. And I think every organization and university should include in their curriculum, ways for students to kind of get their hands dirty, or at least kind of provide, and I know your university is doing, because I'm actually helping you do it, get the students to get their hands dirty with some of these AI projects, because it is important.
Yeah. And that's definitely a great note for our students. And it's also something to think about when you're in a more established career where it's easy to get lost in your day to day. Like, how do you bring that newness and curiosity to your day or to your week?
I think my job requires to stay abreast of the latest and greatest, because I wouldn't be able to speak intelligently to my clients, or as like the coach of the retail, I wouldn't be able to be part of the kind of all those white papers that we write, all those guidebooks we write. I think a lot of people like reading, and I think I do a lot of my reading on blogs rather than books lately, to just learn, and on all the industry publications, to just learn what's the latest and greatest. And I think those are really useful resources to just going to different industry associations, or for example, when Vision Pro was coming out, the entire time I was watching the launch and learning what all those different features. So I think that curiosity, there's a lot of resources. That's what I'm trying to say, that if someone wants to stay curious, it's not too difficult these days to kind of learn. I mean,
Right.
you can put in YouTube how to use Midjourney, and I think within a few hours, you probably will learn all the prompts that are going to help you to create your first AI art.
Yeah, that's such a good point. We've got, just looking over, people from around Canada, Alberta, Toronto, and we're here in Vancouver. What have you noticed in the MR or PR spaces of Vancouver or Canada locally? How it changed, how the attitude is different from other places?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of startups in Vancouver that are kind of exploring, and Toronto that are exploring VR AR. I'm not so much familiar with what the landscape looks with Calgary. I know there was a lot of effort going into it a couple of years back. I know the company I was part of actually started an office there. I know Microsoft is active there. I know there's a lot going on, but I think Canada in general is a hotbed for a lot of these startups. May not necessarily mean that we get the most amount of funding and the fastest growth when it comes to like hiring and scaling these companies. We have that reputation that we slightly behind states in that aspect. But the good news is that the opportunities are there. And so when I became the chapter president, Vancouver chapter, as the industry folks would call it, was slightly sleepy. And I don't believe in innovation happening in silo. I really do believe that all these innovative ideas need to be shared, and people have to use each other as a sounding board. So ever since I came on board, I try to do a lot of cross-border events. So the last one was called Summer West Fest, where people from Vancouver would connect with LA, Orange County, Silicon Valley, and then learn from each other. And I was surprised. We do have a good cohort of MR folks that are working on products in Vancouver. So and then on not only MR, also AI. There's a lot of interesting companies in Vancouver. I would say the hotbed for any type of innovation is Toronto. Currently. So hi, people from
Represent
Toronto.
Toronto.
Just kidding. Just kidding. But Vancouver is the second best tie, and then it goes to other cities. I believe Montreal also has a strong scene for this type of innovation. But frankly, I think Canada in general has a lot of opportunities when it comes to these companies. We do provide that startup spirit in our economy somehow. I don't know how many of those startups scale the way that the US companies do, but there are some success stories, and the company I was a part of was one of those success stories. They got acquired by Unity, and they're a massive company now. So
Mm.
this definitely exists in the Canadian major cities.
So yeah, it sounds like there's definitely a lot of interest on the creation side. Have you noticed anything on the user side? Like, do you feel like we've got a community of people that are interested in seeing applications of VR?
Honest answer, in Canada, the market is lower and less appetite for innovation. It's definitely behind US. My biggest clients and projects have consistently come out of the United States or Europe. And that's sad to say. That's not to say they're not there, they're there, but I think usually the organizations that, and I think it's like a byproduct of not having too many headquarters of these
Mm.
big Fortune 500 companies, and the technology itself right now is still expensive. If you ask me this question 10 years from now, I think it will probably be something that occurs a lot more frequently, because there's a lot of these technologies that are becoming automated or low code, no code. And so a lot of people are, a lot of this technology is becoming cheaper to develop. So in Canada, because we don't have too many headquarters, we haven't seen that much investment on the user side when currently is in the States. The kind of innovations I've seen in Canada, it's usually been public funded, or if it's private, it's usually on a smaller scale. I see massive scale activations usually happen in the States. But again, it's a matter of time, just because the technology still is super expensive. Like, to give you an idea, when we do custom tech innovations, minimum project size normally is 100 to 100K, and that's like a basic activation. When you do something really big, it's 500,000 or in the millions, and usually you can see that those are the larger brands that can afford those kind of activations.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm probably one of many where the most exposure I've had to VR has been like in games, a lot of
Uh-huh.
escape rooms or whatnot. I yeah, a lot of those saber
Yeah,
games.
for sure. Yeah,
Um,
that I think it's equally interesting both in Canada and US. I've seen a lot of escape rooms VR AR, but when you talk about VR AR, my brain goes into the industry side of things: manufacturing,
mhm.
retail, pharma, basically all various industries, heavy industries. I just
It's
see
so interesting.
a little more. It's interesting because some industries are. It doesn't matter, like in US or in Canada, they're slightly behind. Or they're going to catch up in a little bit, and some are really ahead. For example, retailers are one of the first early adopters, and they usually are for most innovation. And then organizations that are in the marine industry, for example, where it's like old school, you still have to see the steering wheel and touch,
Mm.
and they kind of are a little bit behind. But it's interesting that how these different industry go at different paces when it comes to this tech innovation.
Yeah. And it sounds like so when you say retail, is that usually like in activations and like advertising campaigns? Or
Well, it's different use cases. It goes all the way from manufacturing to like remote collaboration to sales and product packaging to marketing activations. It goes along their entire supply chain. And it's not only just on the consumer based side, but yes, AR/VR is heavily being used on the consumer side on sales and marketing. It's just, it's also being integrated into a lot of digital twins and remote collaboration in retail. One of the first cases that we did for digital twins many years ago was actually a brewery, where they wanted to kind of control the machines from afar.
mm,
But it's a similar thing because oil and gas was doing something similar, and they wanted to see their machinery from afar. That's what I mean. The problems are similar. It's just a use case that kind of gets tweaked based on different industries.
that's very interesting, and it's so cool to see like industries learning from each other in that way. I'm gonna jump into some questions because there is one that I think is a very relevant one. And just to remind all our audience, like, feel free, please drop in your questions. We'll be jumping into audience questions soon. But Berenger Dijkticker asks, what exactly is VR AR?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, what exactly is VR AR?
Oh, okay. So VR stands for virtual reality, AR stands for augmented reality. I think the simplest terms when I want to explain it to people is like the latest Mr. Bean movie where he like puts the VR goggles and he can't see where he is and he just walks in the street as he's seeing a different reality. That's virtual reality. And augmented reality is if you've seen recent activations when you pull your phone and all of a sudden you see furniture, for example, with IKEA app in your living room. That's augmented reality because your reality is augmented. And mixed reality is a term that kind of is used interchangeably in the industry, sometimes to refer to augmented reality. But yes, virtual reality is it just you're completely immersed. It's a little bit more immersive, and it's used a lot of times for training because it has all of your focus into one environment rather than multiple environments.
Would you say one of these is being advanced or used more than the other, VR or AR?
No, because they're very different use cases. As I mentioned, for example, like VR is being heavily used in training.
Mhm.
They'll have more attention from you and more immersion into one environment. So it has all of your attention into like teaching you what you're supposed to do. Um, and so it depends on the use case. Again, if a lot of the students are designers, they'll know the medium is what kind of defines the use case. So, and there's been different and equal number of use cases for both.
Another question from Alia Ahmed Khan. Just wanted to ask that knowing Maya software and Nuke X Plus, Photoshop Premiere Pro is enough to enter into industry. Can you help me in this? Looking forward to joining PFS.
That's a
Love to have you.
question. Sorry. So the question is if VFX can help them or if I can help them.
I'm wondering, I think it's more of what software, is really relevant in this industry. So the ones that this person mentioned are Maya, Nuke, Photoshop Premiere.
Yeah, since they know Maya, and I don't want to go into details of it. I know a lot about it but I'm not a designer. But for Maya and Ziva, I think you should go check out Veta's artistry toolkit that just came out August 2023. I can tell you some names of these tools. If you give me 1 second, there's an interesting package of tools. So Wig is one, Ziva VFX is one, Ziva Real Time is another one. These are some of the new ones that have come in and it was announced. But I think if you go to Unity blogs and look into better tools for artists, you'll find all the latest ones. And I really kind of recommend them because they're all based on what's called proceduralism and AI assisted, which means it's just faster than traditional. So what they're trying to do is, if you're an artist or a designer working in a smaller studio, you can still produce like really good results. And so with a lower number of artists, if these artists know these tools, they can achieve the same goals. So if an artist knows these tools, they're a little bit more relevant in that industry.
And this is what you were speaking to when you were saying you see AI just like speeding up and enhancing our
Yeah,
processes.
yeah.
Pran V asks, also relevant, any AI tools that can help making VR simulators?
AI tools to make VR simulators. That's something I have to ask my developers. I'm happy to answer that later.
Mhm.
I'm not aware of any. I have more, I guess, knowledge of on the design side than development side. So, but it's something I can ask my team.
Yeah. And there was, in terms of AI tools, the one that you mentioned earlier, just as part of that creative process. Um,
Midjourney.
yes, Midjourney.
Midjourney AI, for sure. Midjourney AI is part of the open source tools, and it's very amazing. It's very easy to pick it up. It needs access to Discord. If you would have to kind of create a Discord profile, and it requires a membership. I believe it's a paid service. I get our companies pays for it, so I kind of can access it, but it's not too expensive. I had my own subscription not long ago, and there are many videos on YouTube on how to kind of use this tool to create. In fact, I helped someone with some of the images they needed for illustration in their books. It's very easy. You just kind of have to learn the right prompts and speak to AI.
Penelope Walcott asks, hi Sarah, thank you for this. As a sound designer, I'm familiar with audio for spatial design, either as surround or immersive. Apart from the most obvious industries for audio, gaming and audio for film, audio for interactive and installation art, what other industries are interested in utilizing immersive sound?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I actually was in a spatial audio studio not long ago, and we were talking that we can use spatial audio in all of our activations. So any kind of marketing activation that's going to happen can have the sound. And I think a lot of these activations around the world, I'm not talking about Intergalactic, all the activations, because we do some of the world's most interesting or best, and that's why we partner with Ogilvy. You're trusted by big branding and advertising companies, but the point is that the special audio is underutilized so far, and think of it as in any kind of marketing activation or any kind of VR or AR activation that has an element of marketing to it or consumerism in it. You're talking, it's like a B2C, you could use special audio just because the level of immersiveness goes up. So it's not only your vision then that you're using for immersion, it's also your hearing, and it just makes the experience, it elevates the experience. I have had the pleasure of looking at that with one of our experiences, and it's a whole different level of immersion.
It's honestly a very underrated field, the impact audio has on our projects.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for people entering this space, whether newcomers in design in general or people transferring from other industries the way you did into VR/AR?
Yeah, I honestly think joining the VRAR Association is a good starting point. If anyone has a question about that, they can reach out to me at Vancouver at the vrara.com. So it's the VRAR Association. VRA stands for that. And that's because in order for somebody to transition or start, building their network or even learn about the concepts that are up and coming in various industries, this association provides that. We have about 25 global committees. So, for example, the retail one that I lead, every third Thursday we get together, and there's both users and creators and vendors that talk about the latest and the greatest. It's a great way to up your knowledge, B, connect with people on a global scale, because as I said, uh, innovation does not happen in silo. And in fact, whenever I was looking for opportunities, I also reached out to my network globally. So it's really interesting. I definitely recommend that as a very obvious tool and very low hanging fruit for someone who wants to change industries or learn or connect. And often, besides these online meetings, we have in-person meetings that if someone is like a member, they get a really good discount. I believe it's like 50% discount or something like that. And the Immerse one right now, it's happening at Meta Center in Orlando in December. And some of the world's most successful brands in this space are there. So imagine if you're at the end of your studies or even want to start building your network and looking for a next opportunity, that's a really good way to approach it. I would if I was in this, and they're both in a student position.
Wow. And for the first one, you were talking about the online meetings that are every third week.
Yeah.
Our audience can find more about that on the website.
Yeah. So if people go, if I type here, would people see?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna send, this is a website and this is my contact if you have any questions about how to join. There obviously is a paid service, but once you join, you get access. I can send the exact detail of what people get. But so, for example, if you go into online committees, this week, there's one for universities, college, there's one for industrial, there's one for generative AI. So different verticals are automotive, hospitality, marketing, real estate, aerospace. Like there's over 25 different committees. I lead one of those committees, which is retail. And it's a global committee where people come and discuss the latest and greatest. And we have guest speakers, and it's kind of like a closer. It's kind of like this, except people see each other and are able to connect and usually everybody's routine. So they come like every third Thursday. So they build the network like that. And even if they didn't like committees, they could attend the in-person events. These are online committees, but they could do the in-person events. Or they can just learn from our blogs. We have a lot of blogs and newsletters that they can learn from. We have podcasts they can learn around. We have webinars and publications. So it really is the right way. If VR, AR, or generative AI is your passion, this is the right industry association to pursue. In fact, when I started my career in biotechnology, I was part of a biotechnology network, and I got my first job through that. I didn't get my first job through VR, AR association, but I can see if someone is trying to get their first career or do transition, this is the right way to go about it.
Right idea on how to like just network and get to know people, and also like in this industry.
So if anyone has any questions, they absolutely come. Yeah, and somebody just posted that.
Another question.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem.
And yeah, any other questions from our audience, please?
In fact, since everybody here today attended my talk, because I'm the Vancouver chapter president, I would like to extend 20% discount to people who are interested in joining the VR Association. So if you did want to join, make sure you contact me directly at that email, vancouver@vr.com, so I can actually give you the code for the discount for today. Since everybody is a student, we're trying to start.
It's wonderful just to see like how you're saying for Azir, you received that help moving up, and you're giving back in that way of just like it's just elevating each other in this field and in this work. Yeah. So last call for questions. Right. Thank you everyone for attending. Please follow it on the website that Mel and Sarah have shared. Feel free to email Sarah, get that code. And yeah, stay curious as Sarah taught us to be, and just get your hands dirty with everything. Thank you, Sarah, so much for your time today, your wisdom, and your just the sharing of your knowledge. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here and to, give back. And I am always open. If anyone wants to email me, ask me further questions, please feel free to reach out. And yeah, thank you for this platform to kind of help out.
All right. Perfect. Enjoy your evenings, everyone.
Already. Bye.